Okay, so I wanted to film this video a bit later, but it's so grey today and it's like midday, so it's probably the best lighting that I'm going to get. Also, there's like fire alarms. I like testing all the fire alarms in all the buildings. If you randomly hear like really horrible noises, it's that. Basically today I wanted to have a recap of my first time at university, how I found it and everything, and talk about my subjects and my thoughts. So if you didn't know, I go to Lancaster University in first year and I study natural sciences, specifically biology, maths and Spanish. And I explain about how I'm doing that in my first 2 weeks at Lancaster Uni video if you want to go check it out. I feel like a lot of things have changed since then. Obviously I've settled in, I know the uni better, I know the area better, I know how things work, I know my course better, I'm finding my course, etc. So I'm just going to go and talk about all these things with you today. Okay, so first I want to talk about like academic side. So first I'm going to talk about biology. So the biology that I study specifically is like biomedical science, sort of medicine, and I've done 2 modules now already completed, which is good. The first module was on like physiology and anatomy. It was quite difficult, quite hard to remember. The lectures were quite good. They weren't amazing, but compared to like all my lectures that I've had, they were pretty engaging. We only had one actual practical, which was okay. There was quite a lot going on, and I feel like they helped us and it was quite good. The coursework, I think I got like 60 something% in the coursework, and in that exam I got 69%, and like I really struggled to revise for the exams just because like to maintain the amount of work each week is like doable, but then to have to revise on top of that I find really hard. And then the next topic we did was about like microbiology, and we had 4 practicals, so a lot more than before. We were a bit more, I felt like we were a bit more on our own, I think because they expected us now to use a microscope now, which to be honest, like we should know how to do that. They like, well, the first one was really long and then the rest were all quite short. We had to like draw like different bacteria and things like that. We had one lecturer, he wasn't bad, it wasn't a very engaging topic, and they had one quite good one who taught us about fungi and viruses, and that was all fine. Like it was fine. Like I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I find it okay, and I find the content mildly interesting. I hate the practicals, like I dread practicals, but actually they're never as bad as I think they're gonna be. But yeah, we sort of grew bacteria and like developed some quite basic but essential skills. And then I did that exam on Monday, and I thought it was more difficult, like there was more memorization involved. The exams though in general are so much easier than A-level because they're literally just like, what is this? Name examples of this. And you have to recall things. There isn't the same sort of understanding and application element that there used to be at A-level. You know, they don't give you all this data and they'll like analyse it. That's just not what it's like at all, which is so much easier than A-level. It's not easy, but it is easier. But then at the same time, like there is a lot of content, and it's very much like here's the content and then you have to go away and learn it. Like I think some modules they have revision workshops and things like that, but you don't have that same sort of teacher going over it, teacher reminding you kind of thing that you did have at A-level and at GCSE. For the audit module, I didn't end up going to a lot of the lectures. 2 of them were 9am, like come on. I was having 4 9am a week in the last like half term, and like as well as that, the first lecture was really boring, and then I only had 1 lecture with the second lecturer. Usually we have like 2 or 3 lecturers for 1 module. I don't know if that's common for all science modules. But I mean, it's good because it's nice to have a bit of change. Even if the lecture is good, it's still nice to have a bit of change. And I didn't obviously do the exam or any of the workshops or anything for that module. I talk about it in my week-long study with me, and you can see the work that I did for the audit module and what that is and everything, so that'll be linked down below and at the end as well. So all in all, biology is fine. It's exactly what I expected. It's not been a huge step up, but there are differences. Content's quite interesting, etc, etc. And over Christmas I'm going to try and do extra reading, because that's another thing that I find difficult to find time for, is extra reading. But I think because this week, week 10, the last week, I've finished 2 modules and have exams on 2 modules. It means I don't have any work to do for them over Christmas. So I'm going to try and do extra reading. I'm not going to commit because I feel like it's too easy for me to just not do anything, but I'm going to try, and then I'll update you guys later if I do anything. So don't expect any like Christmas study with me or anything, because like I said, I don't have anything to do. I have things I should do, but I don't have like compulsory things that have been set, so I'm just gonna have a great time, hopefully. But yes, hopefully I'm gonna take up more biology modules next year, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be dropping maths and not be doing any maths next year. And this might be a shock, because obviously maths is my best subject. I would say I probably enjoyed it the most. Well, I didn't enjoy anything at A-level really. I had a miserable time. Again, my A-level and GCSE experience video will be linked. But yeah, so I really struggled with the first module. The lecturer was a really nice guy, but I didn't know what was going on, and I was lucky. I got about 68% in the test, which by the way might not sound too great, but that's still a 2-1, so because the 70% is a first, so I've been quite happy with my results, to be honest. But yeah, he seemed like a really nice guy, but I didn't understand anything that was going on. I was lucky because a lot of the content was further content, as in further maths content, or A level. Like a lot of it was stuff that we'd done before, but I think it was like filling in the gaps for international students, and obviously different people do different exam boards, so some people, things that I knew how to do might have been new to them. Not everyone does further maths, so it was like filling in a lot of the gaps, and I hated it so much. And then we got this new lecturer, and we were doing, so the first module was calculus and the second module was further calculus, and it was all new stuff. I think it was all new, and maybe some people who did FB3 or like a lot of further maths would know it, but I think it was all new content. And the lectures I found a bit more engaging, but the problem is if you don't understand something, it just carries on, and it's so hard to pay attention and to follow it if you've missed a step or you don't understand a step. In general, it was better. Obviously my exam's on Friday, I need to revise. The hand-ins I found worse because I could do less of it myself, and it was more based on the lectures as opposed to, because a lot of the time for the first module I wouldn't understand what was going on in the lectures, but then I'd look at the questions and be like, oh, this is like an A-level question, and then do it the way that I'd learnt it rather than the way the lecturer was telling us. Whereas you couldn't really do that for this module because it was new. It wasn't necessarily harder. Like I really struggled with proofs and limits and all of that crap. Like I really do not enjoy that, but a lot of the stuff was like we did, for example, double integrals and partial differentiation, and all of these things are quite nice, and I think they could easily be taught at A-level. Like they're not complicated, they're just new things. So things like that, whereas things like improper integrals and like using R and infinity and all of that, I don't like that. Like I just find that so hard. So a lot of the work I was really struggling with, and I just felt so demotivated and just like I can't do this, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't understand it. Oh, and as well as that, we have had assessed work on using RStudio, which essentially is some sort of coding software that is trash, and I hate it, and I don't know how to use it, and I hate coding, and I hate computers, and I hate all this stuff. You're inputting things so a computer can do it, even though we know how to do it, and it is the worst thing ever. Like honestly, I hate it. I would struggle through it, would have no clue what I'm doing. Would this lovely girl Jessica, bless her, would go to these maths drop-ins, be like 3 people there, and we would just be trying to, there'll be like 2 questions a week, and we'd be trying to figure them out, and we just, I can't speak for her, but I feel like I didn't know what was going on. I don't think she think she knew more than me, so I was kind of copying her, but we just struggled through. It was really awful. And we had a little bit of that in the first module, but it was so like minuscule, whereas in the second module we've had that every single week. We've had a few questions every single week. I'm praying, because the next module I think is probability, and I don't know, we have 2 stats modules next. I hope there's none of that, because I hate it, but I feel like we are just gonna have more and more. So yeah, to sum up, I hate maths. It's not too bad, like it could be worse, but I think next year I'm going to take up another biology module instead, or switch to single honours biological. I think the 4 degrees biological sciences. I'm not sure. I think I might do that, because I'm heavily considering doing medicine after I leave and moving back down south, and applying to do medicine. But either way, I'm going to either end up with a natural sciences degree, which will just be biology and Spanish, or straight biology. I don't know. But let's talk about Spanish. So Spanish feels... The seminars are very casual, and they're really like being at school again. So attendance isn't great for them. I do feel like I'm learning. I feel like the grammar lessons I really get the most out of, because I feel like at GCSE you don't really formally learn much grammar. You don't really learn like many grammatical terms. You don't really you know, like we learn like the gerund. I didn't know what the gerund was in English, let alone in Spanish. And I really like the way that we're learning the grammar. We then also have general skills and writing. I feel like that it just turns into learn some vocab. That I don't really see the writing element at all. Like occasionally we write paragraphs and stuff, but we haven't had much writing practice. And then we have an oral seminar, which is also vocab, but we do practice speaking and listening. And I just hate it because it's really far away from where I live, and I have to walk like half an hour, like the other end of campus. And not half an hour. You don't ever have to walk more than 20 minutes, I would say. Maybe 25. For like a casual stroll, that's probably the most you ever have to walk on campus. I don't ever look forward to them. I see them as a bit of a chore. Never as bad as I think. The context side, I actually quite enjoy the lectures. They're very full on, and we learn a lot of information, but I find it quite interesting. I watched the Motorcycle Diaries, a film about Che Guevara, and that was quite good. Our seminars for context, we have so we have like 2 context seminars, a lecture, and then 2, something like that. And basically we usually have reading to do, and then we discuss it, but as the sort of attendance for those has dwindled, it's a bit more painful, because no one really has anything to say, whereas when there's a lot more people, there's a lot more discussion. I think our lecture is just quite good, but like as time went on, like I was focusing less on the reading and like the questions. We had an essay that was due, actually. It wasn't too bad. I wrote in 2 sittings. I wrote like an hour. I wrote like the bulk of it on the Sunday, and then the rest of it the Tuesday night. Then did the referencing, and then handed it on the Wednesday. And it didn't take me very long, and a lot of people were saying they couldn't get it down to the word count. I struggled to get it up to it. I think it was 1,000 words. I just didn't overcomplicate it and just wrote quite basic, probably not very imaginative. I don't know what I've gotten in that essay. I'll probably find out when we get back or over Christmas. But yeah. But essentially it wasn't too bad, and we'd had enough preparation in our seminars to sort of have something to write. I definitely feel like my Spanish has improved, and I want to keep improving my Spanish. I think I'm going to carry on with it next year, but I'm not sure yet. Let's talk about halls of residence. So around this time in Lancaster, for some reason, houses have been going really quickly, and in like end of November, me and 2 girls from my course, we have found a house to live together. It was quite stressful because I knew that I probably wasn't going to live in my flat, so I had to find other people to live with, and I was going to live with a girl from Spanish, but then that was going to end up me living with all these people I didn't know. I just knew one girl, and then 2 girls from this block, and from the same college as me and on my course. Well, they're both natural scientists, and one the same biology modules as me, asked if I wanted to live with them, and I was like, yeah. So then we were looking at 3-bed houses and some 4 beds as well, to see like what we could find. It was extremely stressful. It was so stressful because we would call up and make bookings, and then when we'd go the next day, they would be like, oh, one of those houses you booked has been sold. Like, not sold, but it's gone, basically. We managed to find a really nice house. It's quite close to the uni as well, and we're really happy about living there, and it's a good price and everything. Like, I can't think of anything bad to say about it, to be honest. One of the walls is like purple, so we're gonna have to think about our decor, but other than that, it's a really nice house. Excited to live there next year. Living in halls is fine. I feel like I'm lucky. I have quite a good flat. Like, you just hear horror stories of flatmates up till coming in at 4 AM and being loud and breaking their Hoover and being sick in the kitchen and all these horrible things. And my flat just aren't like that at all. Quite like respectful and nice. I have nothing really to say. I feel like it wouldn't really be appropriate for me to do a video about halls now or talk about any of my flatmates or anything like that, so I'm not going to. But maybe in the future, in a few years, maybe I will. Maybe at the end of the year I'll do a video just in general about halls and sort of collate information from other people in different unis as well. Living away from home I found fine. I'm really looking forward to going back home. Mostly because I miss London, and I've been saying this a bit. Obviously I miss my family, but I haven't found it very difficult. I think just as a child, like I used to spend I was from nursery from a really young age. Like, I used to go to after school clubs. I would often in the summer go away and stay with my family and not see my parents for like a week. And I'm not saying like, oh, I was such a bad childhood, because I don't think I did at all. But I think I never was like really attached in that sense. You know, like some people, like they're very, very close to their parents, and I wouldn't say like having problems with my parents or anything, but I just think like I've always been quite independent. I've always had quite a bit of freedom, even from a young age, but as I was older as well. Obviously things like cooking for me and cleaning for myself are things that I didn't have to do very much when I was at home, but it's just like I've just gotten into a routine. So I like do my washing on a Friday, and I would go shopping on a Friday or Saturday and try and get enough meals. And there have been times where I've run out of food and just got takeaway from campus, but it's really not that bad, because I'm fine with money. That's one thing. Like, a lot of people don't have much money at the end of term now, which obviously is a bit shit, but you know, personally I've managed to budget and I've been fine. It's very weird because I forget sometimes that I don't live here, and that because I'm used to it now. It's been like 11 weeks, which is shorter than most people, to be honest. Most people have been there for an extra 2 weeks. But yeah, it's just really odd. I don't know, I just find it really odd. And it's just like, this is where I live, but obviously in a few days' time I'm going to be back home. And now that's going to be weird, because it's like, well, what about you? Like, I feel very confused about it all. But in general, I personally have found it okay. I think I'm just too busy to feel homesick, and also nearly all my friends pretty much are like separated from each other and all over the place. I think if like everybody I know stayed at home and continued their lives as if we were at school and I left, it'd be very different than if everybody, not even everybody, moved away from London, but everyone's doing different things and not seeing each other as much. And also, like, I never had massive groups of friends. I always had little different separate little friendship groups. I've just found it okay. Socialising aspect is okay. I mean, people aren't as much like getting to know each other and like making friends, but even like today I spoke to a girl, not really spoken to that much in my summer class, got to know her a little bit. So you're always meeting new people all the time, and like people that I was more friendly with at the start, now like I would consider myself close with different people and all of this, and it's nice. I think I like how the good thing about seminars is I feel like the groups become a bit close, or quite close. So like, for example, maths, I don't think like my maths workshop isn't close because we don't talk or discuss anything, and like in general maths is so big, whereas like the Spanish seminars are quite close, and it's the same for like biology. They're not really that close, but I think it's a bit more close than maths because we have practicals, so you do socialise with people more. whereas it's very hard to socialise with people who do maths because no one talks in the workshops, and obviously you're in a lecture other than that. That being said, there is quite an active math society, but I just haven't gone there, so I don't know. I think maybe next term I will try and focus more on societies and socials and events, but honestly I have a lot of work and I find it hard to justify. I feel like when I want to do things, there's nothing to do, or no one that will do something, like, do it with me. I have work to do, then everyone will be doing different things, and it's just about balancing your time, really, because I do spend a fair bit of time doing work. But the thing is, I usually have long, big, like, periods of time, and I will work and watch videos and work and watch and relax all together. I don't usually have intense periods of like doing loads of work. It's usually like lots of doing work and not doing work. Now let's talk about Lancaster. I saw a comment on my last video of someone saying, oh, you know, Lancaster isn't that boring, and that was like after I'd been there for like 2 weeks, so you know, maybe I was exaggerating or whatever, but honestly there isn't a whole lot to do. There's a lot to do at the uni, and I feel like there's so many events and socials and things just at my college alone, let alone if the other colleges. But in the town, honestly, I only go to Sainsbury's and like to buy things. Like there's a farmer's market in town, but there's also one at the uni, like all these kind of things. And it does feel like a small town. Obviously when looking at houses, I realised it is actually quite big, the area, and like there's a lot of housing, but there isn't much in town. There's a lot of clubs in town and bars, but I personally don't go clubbing or do that, but there is a lot of that in town, and that's another reason why people go into town other than shopping. But like, you're not really going to go and spend the day in town. Like, you know how if you lived in maybe London or Manchester, I went to Manchester last weekend, you'll go and you'll find things to do and there'll be things to do there. But it's not really the same in Lancaster. You can go to places like Manchester, you can go to Edinburgh in 2 hours, you can go to, obviously London's a bit far, you could go to Manchester and Preston and other places that are nearby quite easily. It's not too expensive on the train if you book it like at good times and stuff. But yeah, I mean, maybe I just don't know, but I didn't see many people doing many things in town. They have things like Christmas like switch on, and they've got reindeers at the moment, but we also had the reindeers at the uni. We didn't have Christmas light switch on here, but we have different festive things, all sorts. So I feel like the uni is really like the hub of where things are going. And I think I used to look at campus unis and be like, I don't want to go to campus uni, I want to go to a town or a city. I mean, like a city university where it's all spread out. But honestly, I don't know how I would have survived, because it's so daunting, and I feel like you have such a sense of community, and it's so much easier in your first few weeks to find out where things are, to figure things out. If you don't want to leave your room, you can ask your flatmates to pop to your local shop and get things for you. You literally don't need to leave even your room, really. And like, everything is just so close, and it does feel like a hub, and there's loads of food places. I'm not saying Lancaster is the only one place like this, because obviously maybe different ones are different, but yeah, I'm just really glad that I came to campus university. It's easy to figure out where things are. I like the college system. I talked about this before. I think it's really good, especially for freshers. Yeah, I just think it's nice, and it's like, if you want to get away from the uni, then you can go into town, or you can go on a train somewhere, and it's nice. But yeah, I'm still excited to go home though. I'm excited to see all my friends. But yeah, but I'm feeling fine. I feel fine. That's how I feel. I feel neutral. I feel like it's exactly how I expected it to be. But yeah, so if you have any questions, leave a comment down below, or you can message my social medias. They're always linked. And yeah, and I'll see you next time. Bye.